Well, first of all, we think that children learn better through fun, not fear. And we were brought up to be fearful of strangers, don't talk to strangers, and to be scared. And that was actually not a skill that could help us really in any kind of way, because 90% of the time a child is harmed by someone they know. And sometimes they do need to get help from a stranger if they get lost. And parents can't model don't talk to strangers, because we need to talk to strangers every day to function in this world. So we knew right then and there stranger danger was not part of this program at all, okay?
Let me add to that, and don't talk to strangers, which is what we all were raised with, doesn't actually teach a skill. Because once you are approached by that stranger, even if they're asking for directions and it's innocent, well, what do? You have to teach what to do, not what not to do. So that's also how we, our thinking.
And it's also that old adage that children do what we do, not what we say. So we have to model these kinds of decision things, these kind of safety skills. So we talk to strangers every day. Our children are seeing us do it. They don't understand. So we teach through fun, not fear. We use song, art, and our books, and mostly role play. We role play real life situations so that children can learn assertiveness skills and they can learn how to respond in various situations. We do scaffolding learning in our 8-week program, meaning what we teach in the first week, we use in every single week. So we keep building on the skills. So it's really important, whatever they learn in the first week, they're using through the 8 weeks and so on.
So what does that mean? That means that if we're teaching them, for example, in lesson 1 about their safety voice, this is now becoming ingrained by lesson 8. Because for all the different activities that we do, they need to use and listen to their safety voice to figure out how to problem solve and then move on to the next skill.
And the thing is, the crux of our program that we always say is the first lesson we teach. And that is teaching every child that they have a safety voice, that they have this little voice inside their head that can help them stop and think and make safer and smarter choices. Children are very reactive. They're reactive because they don't know any other response, any other way. We're trying to teach them a new way so that they can make safer and smarter choices.
And the safety voice is twofold. It's an inner voice, but it's also their outer voice. So it's the voice inside their head that we want them to be aware of, which for us is our intuition, or as the children sometimes say, oh, that's my conscience, which is brilliant. We love when they get it. But it's also the voice that they use to speak up in whatever situation it is. It could be because they're lost and they need to seek help. It could be because they're being bullied and they're reporting to someone, whatever the situation is.
Or they see somebody doing something that's not safe. We role play. What do? Your friend's making an unsafe choice. What should you do? What does your safety voice say? Well, my safety voice says that's not safe. Well, if you know that you shouldn't do it and it's not safe, what can you do? And then we teach them to use their outer voice. We're actually teaching assertiveness skills and practicing it. And then what do you do? So you use your safety voice. Maybe you tell your friend, you know what, that's not safe. I'm not going to do it. Let's go do something else. But your friend doesn't listen. What are you going to do? And that's where we come in with tattling and reporting. I need to go report to a grown-up because it has to do with safety. It's not tattling.
Now, the level that Sally is speaking about now is obviously younger children. But we all have a safety voice. And when I'm talking to the older children about it, we use a similar language, but we say, sometimes you know in your gut that that's not a safe choice, and there's a part of you that wants to go along with it, and there's a part of you that doesn't. But how do you get the gumption to be assertive enough to say, you know what, I don't want to do it, let's do something else. And you have to practice that. You can't just talk it out. You have to get the kids, and then all of a sudden they're all looking at each other and say, oh, I don't really want to do that. We don't have to go along with Joe just because he's part of the group. We can actually go and do something else. But it's giving them this kind of also group courage to be assertive.
Someone that wants to do harm to children is absolutely looking for an easy target, a child who has no prevention education, a child who's not aware and paying attention.
Who's had maybe even no sexuality education. No parents are talking to them about their bodies in any way. Even on Oprah, when she was interviewing the predators, she said, is there any way that child could have stopped you? And one of them said they could have said no.
They could have told.
you know, this is, you know, chin dropping, jaw dropping for me. And I thought, okay, so we need to get our kids aware and more assertive and know that they can get up and walk away out of a bad situation, even if it's an authority figure.
We really feel what we're doing is empowering children to be assertive, to reach inside a part of themselves that is there and hasn't been brought out. We give them a very safe and fun environment to do that. And the reason that we literally go from classroom to classroom to classroom and we don't do this big one-shot deal is because we want every child to experience role-playing. So we go into a classroom of 20, 25, 30 kids. Every kid gets a chance, maybe 1, 2, or 3 times, to role-play a situation every single week that we're there. So when we say we build on skills, in our second lesson we teach about the buddy system. So we pretend I'm Aunt Betty, I'm taking a few kids to the movies. I say to the kids, hey, you know what, it's late, I'm gonna go get popcorn, you go to the bathroom, I'll meet you right back here. You know what the kids say to me? Stop, that's not safe. Because they're using their safety voice from the first lesson, okay? And they're now telling Aunt Betty, you know what, Aunt Betty, I'm not allowed to go to the restroom by myself. You need to take me. It's very basic, and what's so interesting is that you have some schools and principals that just totally get it and understand educating the whole child, and then you have some that just, they don't get it at all because it is so basic, and it should really be part of our children's education. I mean, we have long-term goals of getting prevention education mandated in elementary schools. We feel it's that important. If every 10 seconds a child is being abused, why are we not teaching our children how to prevent that? We're teaching them fire prevention, and there's barely any fires. Fire prevention is important, but if every 10 seconds a child is being abused, what's more important?
And we feel that if children have this as just part of their regular education, we would have such a decrease in bullying. We would have such a decrease in a lot of the negative energy that comes into the day with kids. There would be a lot more education going on academically. So we do a lot of character education in Florida. I'm sure they do it across the United States, and this is really almost a part of that in many ways. And it's complementary to running a smooth classroom, because children aren't just academic. They're little human beings, they're emotional, they're social, and the KidSafe skills fall under that category. So if they don't have that lined up and they're not functioning in a healthy manner, then they're not really there prepared to learn as well.
And we also do, before we go do our 8-week program, we do a teacher workshop, because we want teachers on the same page. We want teachers using the language of safety. And teachers report to us that it's changed their classroom, because imagine we're teaching the children check first. Imagine a speech therapist just, let's say, comes into a classroom and goes to take a kid out, and the kid leaves, and the teacher's at his desk, he doesn't see the child leave, he looks up, the child's not there. If that child just had turned and said, Mr. Smith, I'm going with the speech therapist, everything's fine. We saved a safety issue. It's like those simple little things, so their behavior modification in the classroom increases. It just gets so much better because everyone's on the same page using the same language. We really feel developmentally children are ready to be able to do that. And so in one of the examples we were given, that a child was being abused for so long, and until she got to 5th grade did she know that what was happening with her and her father was not normal. So now we're teaching it when she's 4. It's great because now she's learning what is appropriate, what is not appropriate, what boundaries to be crossed, that her body is special and belongs to her, and she has rights over her body, that just because somebody, an adult, someone she loves, wants to hug or touch or kiss her, she doesn't have to. It's her body, it belongs to her. And that's a very empowering thing for a child. So when parents, and sometimes it's cultural, when parents, try to tell their children, you must hug or kiss Uncle Mike or whomever it is.
Because the adult would feel insulted otherwise. Now think about the subliminal message that's being sent. If you're saying, go hug grandma, because if you don't hug her, you're going to hurt her feelings. So now we've sent that child over there, she's hugging this grandma, and the message to the child is, your body's not of value, The adult's feelings are of value. Well, that's a predator's dream, that message, that subtle message. I think that children with low self-esteem, struggle with their identity. I mean, there are definitely children right off the bat. In any classroom, you have a bell curve of children, and you'll have those who are already assertive. Now we just have to hone those skills. And then you have those who are absolutely, beautiful and shy, and they need a little bit more encouragement to be able to even speak up in class. So giving those children that empowerment and that level of, let's do this together, we'll work on it, and it might take a little practice, but you are important and you're a part of this.
And one of the things that we do teach when we're teaching in our abduction prevention lesson, we want all the children to learn how to say no in what we call it an I mean business voice. So quite frankly, we can go around the room and ask each one to yell no. And the very shy ones will say it very softly, and the very assertive ones will say it very loud. So what we do with the shy ones, they're not getting out of it. I want them to do it. They have to hear that they have a voice. So we do it together. We have them pick 3 friends to do it all together, and then they do it. And it's so important that they know that they have a strong voice that they can use to keep themselves safe.
One of the most important aspects of the children's program, the 8-week program, is that it's done in the classroom and the teachers stay with us in the classroom. They've already had their teacher workshop, so they know what we're doing. Then they can continue, our goal is for them to continue using that language of safety and reinforcing the skills in the classroom, on the playground, in the hallway. And then it gets reinforced and reinforced. Now hopefully the parents have also received the parent night. Now we're working in a cycle, we're working in full circle, so that, because children don't learn in a vacuum. You can't teach them something once and then never teach it again and expect them to retain it. It takes like 2,000 repetitions for someone to actually retain new information. So we are, beginning the process, and we're educating the parents and educating the teachers, and then we have the books to help support ongoing learning at home. But it takes a village. It's a team effort.